This next one is the guy that we've name dropped. His shadow is hung over this podcast thus far. We talked about him in relation to these other running backs. It's Saquon Barkley. Saquon Barkley has arguably the best workload in the NFL. He is one of the only running backs in the NFL that can truly be described as having an elite profile in all phases of the game. He is still miraculously just 25 years old, and he is now back to full health. Saquon Barkley definitely, I think, has an argument, especially going into a free agency year where he might get just an epically good landing spot, a la what we've seen of Christian McCaffrey on the San Francisco 49ers. Would Saquon Barkley be the RB1 overall? And I'll combine this with Christian McCaffrey because they're both the same age. And so I think it's fair to consider these two, or actually Christian McCaffrey is slightly older, but they're both the same age range, right? Christian McCaffrey is 26, Barkley 25. Which of these two would you rather have? At least knock one out. And then we can compare these to the two young guys.
I think if I were to compare Saquon Barkley and Christian McCaffrey, I'm going to go with Christian McCaffrey because he is in a substantially better situation right now. He's playing with the San Francisco 49ers, and we can only pray that Saquon is so lucky at some point in his life. Saquon could be tethered, like he could re-sign in New York, which would be wild, and he'd be stuck with Daniel Jones-led offense yet again, and it would just be awful. Like as bad as it is right now, which he's still scoring 20 points per game, so it's not that bad. But like there's so many other situations in the world in which he could just like smash, and he just can't in New York. Christian McCaffrey can actually smash. Like his first game with the 49ers, he scored like 40 points or something ridiculous, which is pretty exciting. I don't know that I would bet on that every week, obviously not, but I don't know that Saquon Barkley even has that kind of ceiling in him right now. Like, it's just not an option.
Right. Barkley's been tremendous this year. He's doing everything he can. He's hit 1.06 rush yards over expectation per attempt, which is pretty incredible when you consider the offensive environment he's in and how much everybody literally knows that the ball is obviously going to Saquon Barkley on every single play. Saquon Barkley, though, he's always been that boom bust rusher. Like he leads the entire NFL in stuff rate, and he's also second in the entire NFL in yards created. Like he's going to be that boom bust type of player. His volume has been absolutely tremendous. He's up at a 17% target share, which is getting him back closer to rookie year levels. I actually think that he's going to regress positively in the receiving game. He's only at 0.98 yards per route run, which is like bad, even by running back standards. That's quite bad. I think that the long sample of Saquon Barkley would say that he is not bad in the receiving game. He's actually good in the receiving game. So I think that he's going to regress positively over the course of the season. He's not even scored a receiving touchdown yet this season. He hasn't been able to break one in that facet of the game. All that being said, I do agree with Drew. Christian McCaffrey is not quite the rusher that Saquon Barkley is. He's not going to be able to provide quite as efficient rushing historically on that high of a workload. He's still a damn good rusher. Like he's at 0.40 rush yards over expected per attempt. That's in the same tier as Jonathan Taylor this year. It's the same tier as Ramondre Stevenson, Austin Eckler, Miles Sanders, Kareem Hunt. Like he is still providing value over replacement on his carries. And add in everything that he does in the receiving game, where he truly is an unparalleled force. He's at 1.91 yards per route run. In terms of how many targets he's drawing, he is at the highest rate in the NFL. Of course, he's at a 22% target share. That even includes the game in which he played like 20% of the snaps, his first game in San Francisco. So Christian McCaffrey, absolute total stud. His first full game in San Francisco, he went for like 40 points. The ceiling is limitless. If you were going to, I put out my tweet where I said, is there any single running back you would give 2 first-round picks for? Just base first-round picks. You don't know if they're late. You don't know if they're early, whatever. Is there anyone that you would trade 2 first-round picks for? And what I said was, I think that in a vacuum, the answer would be no. But if I was going to do it for any running back, and I'm not sure that this running back is necessarily the best running back overall in a vacuum to invest in a dynasty, it would be Christian McCaffrey, because his ceiling in terms of value added over replacement is like 30 points per game with his role in the context of a San Francisco offense and his skill set. And to me, if you're going to make any sort of trade that is a value loss in a vacuum, the only way to justify that to me is to get the player who's going to provide such egregious short-term value over replacement that you're okay sacrificing long-term value in order to pile up an absolute shit ton of points. And there's no better bet, in my opinion, at the running back position to pile an absolute shit ton of points where he's just lapping the field. Like, whenever someone's like, oh, like, should you never lose a trade? Like, example I always use Travis Kelce. There's no player I'd rather lose a trade to acquire than Travis Kelce. Like, if you play in like especially if you play in a tight end premium league, like if you're going to lose a trade somewhere, you're just going to overpay for someone, just overpay for Travis Kelce because you're going to lap the shit out of the field at tight end and you're going to score a ton of points and it's actually going to dramatically increase your win probability. I feel almost similarly about Christian McCaffrey, where in this San Francisco offensive environment, he has the potential. Now, we haven't seen it for sure for more than one game, but he has the potential to just obliterate the rest of the competition. Christian McCaffrey, to me, clearly over Saquon Barkley, he gets to move on to the final round where Christian McCaffrey is still alive.
Yeah, so like Christian McCaffrey came back after like basically missing the last 2 years. And he wasn't all that good his first 3 weeks. He had 15.7, 16.8, 13.5 points per game, which was like it was good comparatively to other running backs, but it wasn't Christian McCaffrey standards. Interestingly, he only had 4.54 targets in those games, which is where Christian McCaffrey scores most of his points. Then after that, in Carolina, before he got the system upgrade, he went 9, 12, 8 for targets and scored 25.8, 23.4, 22.8 fantasy points per game, which is what we expect from Christian McCaffrey. Now he's in San Francisco. The first game he got traded on like the Friday, and they were like, "Come on out, Christian, play with the boys, let's go." And then the second game, they were like, "Okay, Christian, you're the workhorse here. Let's do this." And then he scored 40 points. So, like, I think there's a reasonable chance that the first 3 weeks they were kind of working him back in a little bit and maybe weren't asking him to do the things that they have asked him to do in the years past. It's possible. It's also possible that's just variance, and that's just the way.
And ultimately, and I mean, it doesn't even matter. And I mean, with those jamokes anymore.
Yeah. So it's just like Christian McCaffrey has a ceiling that nobody else can touch, and that's why he should be in a tier separate from Saquon Barkley. I think we can rule out Saquon Barkley.
Okay, so Christian McCaffrey, Breece Hall, and Jonathan Taylor moved on to the final round.